Hey witches, welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of almost 25 years, Avalon priestess, and busy witch. Here we'll talk all things witchy, from current metaphysical happenings to my busy witch tips and tricks, and everything in the in-between. This podcast is my personal journey, filled with my knowledge, opinions, and unique way of looking at the world. Join me as I weave the magical and the mundane in every episode. Hey witches, welcome back to Busy, Gritty, Inked and Witchy. I'm Morgan, and today we are getting feral with your witchcraft practice. Yes. So lately I've been doing some TikTok clips, short form video, I don't know, whatever they're called, TikToks, Reels, all that kind of good stuff, on the Feral Witches Club. It was something that came to me one morning when I woke up, which a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm in that in-between state of, between sleep and wake, or in the shower. Those seem to be the two times when I just have like crazy downloads come in. And the Feral Witches Club idea was born. It's just a fun little video where, I do a video every week or so saying, welcome to the Feral Witches Club. And then I state things that feral witches do. Okay. It was just started to be fun. But I have got a lot of questions, from people like, oh, well, this just sounds like eclectic witchcraft, or, oh, I didn't realize I was a feral witch. And I've been asked questions too, like, how do I practice feral witchcraft? So, or what is feral witchcraft? So today's episode is going to be my take on feral witchcraft, because even though this fun little short form video series was done to just have some fun, there is a lot of truth in it. There's hella truth in it. So there is a thing called feral witchcraft. And so today's episode is going to be my take on it, what it is and how and why you should give it a try. All right. So what rewilding in witchcraft or feral witchcraft means is returning to your primal instinctual practice. Okay. Opening your intuition, opening your third eye, trusting your inner compass over outside rules, okay? It's about performing your magic and doing what works for you, even if it doesn't make logical sense or goes against the norm, the quote-unquote norm, or goes against what you've seen on TikTok. And I think I've done like intro to rewilding. I don't know. Last year's whole theme for the Ink Spirit Coven was rewilding your inner witch. And we went on this journey for a year of getting back to our primal selves and diving down and into yourself and figuring out your magic and what works for you. And this year we're working on the Witch's Grimoire, but we've kind of extended that more into getting to know yourself and figuring out who you are as a witch so that you can practice your magic. And all of these concepts are the concepts behind feral witchcraft or rewilding or, yes, being an eclectic witch. But being an eclectic witch, you can still be very reserved and be an eclectic witch. You can still follow rules and be an eclectic witch. So there is a difference between feral witchcraft and eclectic witchcraft, okay? Eclectic witches can still follow patterns and rituals and structure and all of that. But with feral witchcraft, we are throwing it all out the door. And so then people have asked, okay, well, is feral witchcraft and chaos witchcraft the same? Well, even chaos witchcraft has some, I guess, guidelines, for lack of a better word, because it is chaos witchcraft. But even chaos witchcraft has some ideas behind it that are pretty much consistent among all chaos witches. Okay. And with feral witchcraft, we're even throwing those out of the door. Okay. So that's why I think that there is a distinction 100% between feral witchcraft and eclectic witchcraft and being a chaos witch or practicing chaos witchcraft. I think there definitely is a distinction. And just for fun, since we're talking about feral witchcraft, of course, the opposite of feral is domesticated. Okay. And all I can think about like when I use these words, especially feral witchcraft, is we had an alley cat mama who gave birth to 5 kittens, and our backyard is basically like the Disneyland of all backyards for feral cats. And so I get to wake up every morning to see the feral cats outside, like trompsing on all the stuff in our backyard. And they disappear for a couple of days, then they come back. But my cats, my domesticated cats, I have 3 of them, sit in the window and just watch these feral cats just be crazy. And I love it. And I love that that's where my brain goes with this. But that's what I want you to think about. Okay. When you're thinking about feral witchcraft, think about the difference between feral alley cats and your domesticated cats. If you have a cat, there's a distinct difference between the two. So, signs that your practice has been domesticated. These are not the end all be all. These are just some fun things I came up with. If you're waiting for like the right moon phase to cast a spell, your practice is a bit domesticated, okay? And there's nothing wrong with a domesticated practice. In fact, a lot of witches need structure, and they love ceremony and huge elaborate rituals that follow a structure. And that is a beautiful thing, okay? But we are talking about the difference between feral witchcraft and witchcraft that's not so feral, okay? Another sign that your practice has become domesticated, thinking you need a specific tool for a spell or ritual. Okay, you're like, oh, I can't do that ritual because I don't have this. Yeah, you can. If you're a feral witch, you're going to make it happen. Another way, comparing your altar, your beliefs, your practices to someone else's, especially people you see on social media. So if you find yourself heavily comparing, like, oh, well, I don't do that. And oh my God, should I be doing this? Or, oh my God, I never thought of doing that. And am I wrong for not doing this? If those kind of thoughts are coming in, then you're not following your instinct and you're not trusting in yourself and your practice and your intuition to guide your practice. Okay. So those are just, and of course there's like a shit ton others. Signs that your practice has been domesticated. But any time where you are putting form and structure and rules, quote unquote, over top of what your gut is telling you to do, that is when you are straying away from feral witchcraft and you're going into more of a planned, organized witchcraft path. And there's no right or wrong way to witchcraft. Okay, let me put that disclaimer here. There is no right or wrong way to witchcraft. Okay. And yes, I used witchcraft as a verb. Okay. Whatever works for you is what works for you. Okay. So if you are someone who needs structure and who needs the ritual, and you need to set things up and you need to have things in a perfect pattern, or you need to have a certain set of tools and your magic works for you, then that is beautiful. Okay. The other side is just as beautiful. If you can just pull shit out of a drawer and cast a spell with it and it works for you, then that is also beautiful. The key here is doing what works for you. Okay. And there's no right or wrong way to do that, because what works for one person is not going to work for another. Okay. Another disclaimer here. If you are a beginner witch just starting out, I do recommend learning the basics, learning the structures, so that you can then figure out what works for you. Okay. It's almost like learning the rules before you break them or bend them. If you have no idea how to practice candle magic, then maybe just watching a few videos on candle magic or reading a book on candle magic will at least give you the foundation to then do whatever the hell you want to. Okay. So if you are a beginner witch, I do recommend learning the ropes before you try to go swing off of a tree. Okay. All right. So what feral witchcraft can look like. Okay. And if you were hoping for this episode to be, step 1 of practicing feral witchcraft is this, step 2 is this, step 3, that is not what you're going to get here today, because that is not feral witchcraft. Okay. You're going to be getting ideas Okay. I'm going to be giving you inspiration. I'm going to be giving you things that can happen, but don't necessarily have to happen, because feral witchcraft is going to be different for every single person who practices it. Just like witchcraft is, feral witchcraft is really going to look different. Okay. So feral witchcraft can look like using what you have around you to cast a spell, even if it's a packet of fast food salt, a stick, and a half-used birthday candle. Yeah. Feral witchcraft can look like casting a money drawing spell during the waning moon phase, because we are taught that, the different moon phases have different energies. So therefore, if you're trying to attract or pull something to you, you want to do that during the waxing moon phase. And if you want to push or banish things away from you, you do that during the waning moon phase. But if you need money, and if you don't want to rephrase it, because that's a loophole I figured out, which I believe I've talked about in this podcast before. But if it's the waning moon phase and you want to attract, you need money, I would always banish the blockages that are keeping me from the flow of money and abundance. But that's just me being a loophole witch as well. But yeah, if you want to just flat out cast a money drawing spell during a waning moon phase, that could be considered feral witchcraft. Sitting under the moon and crying or screaming as a form of cleansing, releasing, banishing, that kind of spell or ritual. Yeah, it doesn't matter the moon phase either. Stopping what you're doing to perform divination because you can feel a message is trying to drop in. For me, this looks like I literally will stop what I'm doing and I just stare off into space. I can be mid-sentence. I have been mid-sentence before talking with someone, and I can hear like something kind of trying to drop in a message. And so I will just stop mid-sentence, and then you'll see me just kind of like stare off into space. And then once I've gotten the message or see what pops into my head, then I'm like, oh, I apologize. I just got a message, or I apologize, spaced out there for a second. But usually it is because I'm actually downloading something. Writing anything, intentions, things to release, people's names to banish, anything onto a piece of paper and burning it. Because that's what's worked for you in the past. So a lot of people only use fire for releasing, or they only use fire, like they will write things they want to release down on a piece of paper and burn it to release them. But other people write down their wishes on bay leaves and burn them to attract them. So if you're using fire for all things, then that's a feral practice. Okay. If you're using water for all things. So if you don't really necessarily associate an element or a practice with only one thing that you can use it for, then that is feral witchcraft. Okay. So all of these are just ideas of what feral witchcraft can look like. Okay. There is so much power in messy magic. And now we're going to get to the brunt or the bulk of what feral witchcraft truly is. Okay. There's so much power in quote unquote messy magic. Okay. Feral witchcraft is about tapping into your core energy at any moment. Okay, this can mean you are tapping into your energy when you are happy, when you are sad, when you are angry, when you are frustrated, when you are horny, any of it. And you are using it for whatever you want to use your energy for. Whatever you want to direct your energy towards, you do it. Okay, so you are tapping into your core energy at any moment and performing magic with it. It does not matter what time it is, what day it is, what moon phase it is, what the books tell you should be doing. And there's a lot of people out there that will not cast spells when they're angry. Well, if you don't cast spells when you're angry, you're actually just shoving away a very powerful emotion for manifestation. Now, does a little bit of chaos come with anger magic? 100%. You have got to understand that. It's just like the witches that say, oh, don't cast during an eclipse because the energy is so chaotic. Well, as long as you know the energy is chaotic, you can work with it. So cast away during an eclipse. That, again, that's more feral witchcraft, okay? So the key here is tapping into your energy and making it work for you, sending it off for what you want to manifest, okay? So how do you practice feral witchcraft? You just do. And I know I hate that. Like when people say, oh, how do you do this? Oh, you just do. But honestly, here, that's the answer, okay? When the feeling arises, whatever it is, if you're all of a sudden like, oh my God, I want to cast a spell right now, like something tells me I need to protect my energy, you fucking do it, okay? If you're like, oh, I really have the urge right now to cast an abundance spell, fucking get up and do it, okay? When the feeling arises, when you're like, I feel like I should grab my pendulum real quick, or I feel like I should pull a few cards, like there's a message trying to come through. When something like that pops into your head, what comes to mind? What motions, what practices, what tools? And it can be none. It can be, I just feel like going outside and screaming into a rainstorm to cleanse. I need to get some shit out of me right now. Or I feel like I need to ground, so I'm going to flip my shoes off and go run through a field like a crazy woman, in front of everyone at the park. Fucking do it. If that's what you're called to do and you listen to the call, you get this urge and then you're like, okay, what comes next to mind? Okay, well, I feel like doing this, but what does that mean? Or I feel like I need to ground. What does that mean? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Oh, it's running barefoot through a field with people all around you because you're at a park. Fucking do it. Shed the bullshit and fucking do it. That is feral witchcraft. If that is what comes to you, then do it. Okay. Also look at things with curiosity. So if you're like, oh my God, I really feel like casting a spell right now. Like what should I do? Like, okay, I could cast this spell, but like, what would happen if I did this? Yeah. What would happen if you did this? Look at things through curiosity, but sit there and say, oh, well, what happens if I, like right now, I really feel like casting this spell. What happens if I did? Like, well, what would be the cool thing that could come out of it? Okay, well, I could get what I want. Like, what would be the bad thing to come out of it? Well, people might stare at me a little bit crazy if I go running through the park, but really, am I ever going to see these fuckers again? No. So right now, I want to ground my energy by running through the park barefoot. That's what I want to do, but view it with curiosity, okay? The second way that you practice feral witchcraft is you shed all shoulds. And I started to kind of go into this with the first one. But you shed all of the shoulds and you just feel your spell and what your magic is asking of you in that moment. Okay? So I feel like I need to ground my energy right now. How do I feel like doing that? What do I feel? Okay, what? I want to run through the field barefoot, but the people are, fuck it. That's the rationale. Okay, that's how that should go. And then you take off your shoes and you go running through a field. Okay, that's how, like, shed your shoulds. Don't give a fuck what other people are going to say or do. Or if you were to tell a friend, like, oh my God, today I was so pissed at my coworker. She was such a bitch. So I came home and immediately wanted to put her in a jar. So I did. And I put her in a jar and I put her in my fucking freezer because that bitch needs to chill out. And your friend is looking at you like, what? Oh my God. Why did you do that? First of all, who are you hanging out with? But secondly, don't worry about it. If that's what you felt called to do, if you were so pissed at your coworker and you need to put her in a jar and you need to put her in your freezer to chill the fuck out, then that's what you need to do. Okay? It doesn't matter who says what about that. Do it because that's what your energy is calling for and that's what your magic is telling you to do. And I promise you, the minute you put that bitch in a jar, you felt 100% better. 100% better. Yeah. And then the third way The third thing to practice feral witchcraft, if a little voice pops up and says, what if this is wrong, quote unquote, I'm using bunny ears. What if this is wrong, or what if this doesn't work? Okay. Tell yourself, magic is me. I am the magic. So because this is what I want to do, or this is what I feel called to do, it is pure energy, pure magic, pure me. Tell yourself that. You are divine energy. You are magic. Okay? So if you get this gut feeling to perform this magic, then it's not wrong. It is right because it is you and you are magic. Please tell me that math equation makes sense to you all. You are pure magic. You want to do this, therefore this is correct magic for you. Okay? It may not work for someone else. Someone else may have done this exact same thing and it didn't work for them. Okay, but it works for you. And that's what matters. Okay? So just to wrap it up, because like I said, this was not going to be a formal episode of like, oh, do this, and this, and this to practice feral witchcraft. This is just, I'm introducing the idea of feral witchcraft to you all. If you're anything like the people that have been watching my videos on TikTok and Instagram, you're probably like, well, shit, I'm already a feral witch. Yeah, you probably are. But some of my most powerful spells have been cast because I was pissed. Oh my God, anger is such a powerful emotion. Please don't let anyone tell you to not cast during angry, like when you're angry. Okay. I will say that if you're going to cast angry, make sure that the words that come out of your mouth are ones that are true. So even when I'm angry, I still ground down into reality, into, okay, what do I really want to say in this moment? Because I really am pissed off and I know that words have power. So just be mindful of what you are saying when you're practicing anger magic. But anyway, some of my most powerful spells have been cast because I was pissed, because I was super stubborn, determined, super determined, and even super turned on. Okay. Emotion equals magic. What you are putting your emotion towards, where your feelings are flowing, that's what you're going to manifest. Okay. Feral witchcraft is being in touch with your primal energetic self. And that's what it boils down to. Okay. This week, I challenge all of my listeners to do some messy witchcraft, do some feral witchcraft, do something out of the norm that maybe in the past you've told yourself, I can't do that. I can't do that. Do it. Okay. When the feeling hits, do something witchy, whatever it is. Okay. Just do it. Do not overthink it. Don't worry about collecting the quote unquote perfect tools. Just do it. Okay. That is how you develop your intuition. That is how you make your magic stronger. And that is how you trust yourself, is you just do it. Throw the shoulds out of the door. Don't judge yourself. Don't let other people judge you, and just do it. Okay. See how it feels and write it down and experiment. But writing it down is how you figure out what worked, what didn't work, how powerful was it, how quick was the spell, So sometimes for me, it'll be just, I'll journal it down real quick, like at the end of the night, if I do a quick spell, or I'll write it down on a Post-it note. In one of my Feral Witches Club videos, I showed different books of shadows, and one of them was Post-it notes. Those are actual Post-it notes and pieces of paper where I have literally written down downloads or little spell ideas or things that I did here at the shop. I will just write them down on a Post-it note, and I have a place where I stick them. That is also a book of shadows. Okay. But writing it down is how you figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Okay. So that's what I have for you all today. I want to thank you all for listening, for being here. The paid Patreon bonus content for this episode this week, I wrote and recorded like a feral witch. It's a poem, but it's like an affirmation. It's like but there is the word not, and I know a lot of people don't use the word not in their affirmations. But yeah, it is called I Am the Feral Witch, and it's just going to be an audio file. So it's like an affirmation or a poem or something that you can listen to when you really need to tap into that feral witch energy. And I loved it. So that's why I did it. And that's the bonus content. So bonus content with my paid Patreon tiers gets you, even just $5 a month, gets you access to the bonus content for every single episode. And there's something different for every episode. This is the first time I've ever done like an audio file. So I'm really excited about it. And yeah. But anyway, you also get a shout out on my podcast. So I would like to thank Paige and Katie for being new paid Patreon members. To sign up and get access to the paid Patreon or the bonus content, you can head to patreon.com/inkgoddesscreations. And that's where you find it. There's a couple of different tiers there. Just read through them. But yeah, that's what I have for you all this week. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, whether you are watching this video on YouTube or listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also leave me comments. I would love to know either in the YouTube video or Spotify or on social media. I do little clips. But leave me a comment. Let me know, like, are you already a feral witchcraft? What kind of feral witchcraft practices do you like to do? Because it might make it into one of my Feral Witches Club videos too, because that's just a fun little side thing there. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff so that the algorithm spits the podcast out to other magically curious people just like you. But thank you for being here, for giving me a platform to share my knowledge, my crazy stories, all of that good stuff. I'm very grateful for each and every listener that I have. Thank you. And I will see you all next week. Bye. If you're looking for a magical community where you can just be yourself, check out my Ink Spirit Coven. The Coven is an online learning circle for eclectic witches who want to learn new witchcraft practices and how to easily incorporate magic into their daily lives, all while being supported on their personal spiritual journey. And you'll have me as your magical mentor, sharing my knowledge, answering questions, and facilitating the online community. Head to inkspirit.com to learn more and join. And if unique witchcraft supplies made by witches for witches is just what you need, head to my store, inkgoddesscreations.com, to see what we have to enhance your magical practice. We also have the Ink Goddess Creations box, a monthly subscription of magic mail filled with exclusive items that fit a magical theme. Head to the site to see this month's theme and sneak peeks.